guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to a new video. This is the second video of the day. We are only going to look at ETH. If you like the content, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment, share the video with your friends if you think that's useful. Also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are also in the description. Now without further ado, let's start diving in. As I said, we are looking at ETH USD and we're starting off with the daily because this is the real macro time frame where we are looking at the real macro chart, and it looks a little bit different than for BTC. As you can see, we made a little bit of different highs than BTC. BTC has really had that drop down, but ETH didn't have that. Also, the bottom for ETH has been made already months prior to the real bottom of BTC. This was in June, and for BTC we had that double bottom here at the end of November. And also, if we're looking at the current price action, then we're seeing that BTC took out the most important highs already. But for Ethereum, last night we had a double high made right here. So is ETH then running behind, or can we expect maybe later on a kind of extra relief rally? I just looked at some data, and if I'm not mistaken, BTC pumped up yesterday 10 or 11%, and ETH did 8 or 9%, and that is a little bit weird because historically speaking, ETH usually runs between 1.5 to 2 times as hard as BTC, meaning is, let's say BTC pumps 5%, then ETH will pump somewhere between 7.5 and 10% if we are in full bull market mode. We are not in there yet. There's still some important barriers to take out, so you could say, well, right now money or risk capital is more seeking safety or taking less risk in buying BTC over ETH. So that is at least one explanation. You could also say, well, if capital is ready to deploy again to more risky assets, then we can see maybe a pretty quick relief rally in ETH. That is something that I want to look at today. A few levels that I'm looking out for in this really macro. We are kind of now still at that golden pocket, as you can see, 1680. Just above us we have the 78.6 at 1825, but actually like this high is important than this high, and after that there's not so much resistance anymore. So once we break that $2,030, I have a yellow line here. That was the candle here from a dump, but actually there is just not a lot of resistance. Also, you can see that these candles right here, it was just pretty quick. I had another one, 2500, that I wrote down end of the year. That's kind of my global macro end of the year target, so maybe we overshoot it and eventually come back, but we still have more than 10 months to go. So this is kind of my macro target. But yeah, who knows, maybe we could suddenly just pump up and then go much higher. Like I said, if we breach that $2,030, I think we can go pretty fast to the upside. If we're looking at the downside, and then let me take this fib off, then you can see also draw out the fib from the current top to this bottom. So let's say this was for right now the top. Then I still have a few important levels. One yellow line here, horizontal support, that actually is the top wick right here. That also comes in nicely with the 0.5, 1393, and then underneath we have another important high. That was a high right here made on the 13th of December, and that is just above the golden pocket. So I would trade this as a range. That really this area right here is then kind of your trading range where you want to maybe take a trade off and then to go higher. Then the 78.6 lines up very nicely with the point of control. So actually, if we go lower again and we find acceptance underneath that value area high, do something like this, then maybe the golden pocket or the 78.6, or maybe somewhere in between, to make maybe a bullish divergence and then to go higher. That actually would be super nice. That is still pretty wild. Then we're talking about a drop of almost 30%, 25 to almost 30%, depending a little bit where we end up, and then eventually to go higher. I was always thinking that This could not be the low because this low was put in and there was so much time in between this. I find it so incredibly weird, and yes, I do still find it weird, but I am more and more of the understanding that the low and the bottom for BTC is in, and therefore also most likely for Ethereum, and then we need to accept that that bottom just came in much earlier. So I would be pretty surprised if we now make our way all the way back and then take out these lows. It would be super nice from a liquidity perspective, but it's just very, very unlikely. If we're looking at a much more local level, and then I'm zooming in here more to the hourly to look more at the price section that we had in the last couple of hours. Let me zoom in here. Then you can see that it's sometimes crazy how much coincidence and confluence there is. Yeah, the golden pocket, you can see that we had these nice clusters, tops and bottoms, and that's actually something I would be definitely aiming for to at least already take a long. Also, if the signs are here, I think most likely we will get a reaction since we had it already 3 times. Tops and bottoms. Here it were resistance with tops, and here it was support and resist a couple times and then went higher. So that's 1547 to 1554. That will be a super nice area. Actually, also if I extend it, you can just see how that also before this actually was a very nice support and resistance. You can see it also here on these candles where we just stopped out. So that's just a very important area. Something else that I saw, it's not so super clear anymore, but you could say that we had a channel for ETH, and then we're kind of now finding acceptance back into that channel. A little bit like this, I guess. Oh. I have to extend it a little bit. Then you could say we you know what, we went lower and eventually we're now kind of going back in, and then you would say that the midlines, or the 0.5 or the 5 is being called, that is then should be support and resistance. So that's going to be interesting to see if we are able to breach it. But you can see that we're pretty close by again. So that's something that I'm looking out for. Also, this I actually treat it as a channel, didn't trade it myself, but there you can see just actually how many times price is moving from channel to channel, eventually breaking it, going to another range, and then just again moving and trading from channel to channel. So that's just something that I want to give you as a takeaway. Sometimes try to look for these channels and then not always blindly put in a long or a short, but that could be actually very interesting. All in all, I do think that on the larger time frame, ETH has some catch up to play. If we actually, you know what, I forgot one thing. Let me actually also one more time pull the fib, because I want to see if it also matches this macro value area high. It's the same as actually for BTC, what I said earlier today. Yeah, look at that, 38.2, very nice. Is that if we are going lower one more time, and that we may be testing this value area high as support and then going higher, then you also have a bit of a retrace, not tremendously. 38.2 would always tell you the higher we bounce in and go higher within the fib, the stronger it is. So if you bounce from the 38.2, it's stronger than bouncing from the 0.5 or from the golden pocket, although the golden pocket is textbook, but it just tells you that the bears don't have time and pressure to pull the price down, because the bears are already picking up the price and then you're going higher. But right now it nicely coincides with that very high 38.2. So if we can make it there, I wonder if we even are able to make it there, but that actually would be also a very nice area to maybe look for a long. You could also make this even a little bit smaller and say, you know what, I'm not taking the complete bottom, but I'm taking it completely of a halfway the pump from a significant low, and then you can also say, you know what, I'm also taking it for, let's say, this golden pocket. Then you don't have to wait for this bigger retrace. We're still talking about almost 4% retrace, but that is kind of how you can play with this, or you can even put it underneath this candle. So that is kind of how I'm looking at these things. All in all, I think we have still much more room to go. Also, if we're looking here at the bigger indicators, yes, red dot on the 4-hour momentum wave, but the RSIs are coming together. Also here for ETH, what we said earlier today for BTC, thick money flow. This will probably stay there a little bit, so I do expect that the momentum waves are coming up once or twice or 3 times, just like we have seen earlier. Is that when the momentum is high right here in this period, I mean, look at the money flow. I mean, it is coming down right here, but you can just see that the momentum waves are just constantly coming up, and they're spending a lot of time here on the top and just a little bit of time at the bottom, and a big move to the top, another one, a little bit, and big moves. So these are then really your trigger waves. This wave is then a little bit bigger, but then here again, very big waves, and the price is just grinding higher and higher and higher. Now, I'm not saying that this is a copy of the previous time that we had, so that we're going to do exactly the same. But it is something that I'm really keeping in mind, is when the money flow is so thick, is that probably the momentum waves are going to come up a couple of times, and that the money flows really do something like this, and then the price eventually is much higher. Therefore, I think if we are going to aim to, let's say, the 2000 or $2030, wouldn't be all too bad in, let's say, the next 4 to 6 weeks. I do think that that is something that is absolutely possible. And then on the daily, and also here on the 12 hour, also again exactly the same as for BTC. What we did earlier today is you can see that the money flow is just still very thick, feel up higher, RSI is coming together. This is a nice I would say trigger wave, because actually the previous waves were a little bit bigger, but you can say nice trigger wave, and therefore I just still see that there's much more room to the upside before this is really curving over. Also here, I have to be honest, I was hoping or expecting a bearish retest of this area, and then we could go lower to much lower levels, load up the bandwagon for long, but everyone got a little bit fooled and surprised, and then we just went right away higher. Nice thing to maybe show you, and then we will wrap it up, is that BTC did not hit the 38.2 measured from the low, but ETH did hit that 38.2, and that was actually then right away a good moment to enter along. You can see it here on this wick. We hit the 38.2 to the exact dollar. I think this was maybe when the data came out about the inflation, and now you can see that we went higher. So I know a few traders who took this. Usually I am not aiming for 38.2 for us to go to reverse and then to go higher. But usually I wait for lower like 0.5 or the golden pocket, or even between the golden pocket and 78.6. That's really my preferred area. So this is also never a trade that I would have taken. But you can see just how much these levels are respected. And that's actually very nice to see and to trade. Alright guys, that will be it for now. Again, if you like the content, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment, share the video with your friends if you think that's useful. Also feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are also in the description. And I'll see you guys very soon again in the next one. Bye bye.